just 2 years ago. I decided that I was gonna spend the next 90 days completely changing the entire path of my life. I've gotten married, I bought a house, I did a 5-week honeymoon in Bali. We took over 40 flights just in the last 12 months and been to 9 different countries. I built a $1 million per year business and have served over 100 clients. And I've broken all this down into the 4 key steps that I followed to completely change the path of my entire life in just 90 days. It took me a while to realize that there is nobody out there coming to save you, and that you have full control of your entire life, even though it might not feel like it. I remember I committed to go play college basketball when I was 18 years old. I put my entire life just into playing basketball. 2 hours a day of training, 1 hour a day of lifting weights. I pretty much was all in on my dream to play in the NBA. And so I wanted to go play college basketball because that was the next logical step to get to the NBA. Then I got to 17 or 18 years old and realized that I probably wasn't gonna be playing in the NBA. And so I had to figure out, what am I gonna do now? But I'd already committed to go play college basketball at this really small school in the state where I live. And so I remember I committed there and I was like, well, I already committed to go here. I'm just gonna go anyways because I don't really have any other plans. And so I went to the school, I did my first 1 week orientation and something just felt off. And so I had been there for 7 days. I wake up at 5 a.m. to go to my first ever basketball practice. I get done with the practice at 6 or 7 a.m. I come back to my dorm room and I'm sitting in my dorm room looking at my college roommate named Jake. And I kind of look at him and I go, dude, I can't do this for 4 years straight. And this was just 7 days after getting to college. And so immediately I got on my computer, I opened my laptop and I start looking up other places that I could go or other opportunities that I could pursue. Even though my parents approved of me going here, my friends were all happy for me that I was gonna stay local and near my hometown. And my girlfriend at the time was so happy that I would only be a couple hour drive away. I decided in that moment I was gonna move to Arizona and pursue new opportunity, a new life, and start to pursue business. But it all started with one small decision where I realized that I was in full control of my life and that nobody was coming to save me. And so I walked into my coach's office, I sat down and I said, Coach, I'm so sorry. I know you spent so long recruiting me and training me and getting me here just to start this season, but I'm dropping out. And so I went to the dean's office, I went and got a full refund for a college tuition and ended up dropping out. And then I called my dad and he wasn't too happy with me, but he did end up supporting me in the end. The point here is that you at some point have to realize you are in charge of your own life. Nobody else is going to decide for you. And if you let other people decide your life for you, you're gonna end up building somebody else's dream and not building your own dream. You have to go off the path that everybody else is doing. You have to be contrary to what every single other person, all of your hometown friends and what they're doing. You have to be different in order to get a different outcome. In order to achieve things with your life, by definition, you have to do different things to get a different outcome. And it all starts with 1, realizing that no one's coming to save you, and 2, prioritizing. Now, before you decide to change your life in 90 days, you have to figure out, what do you actually want to change? You have to decide what is important by almost doing what I call a life audit and figure out over the next 90 days, what specifically do you want to accomplish? Because you only have a certain amount of energy. And if you take 100% of your energy and you put it towards one thing, you're gonna get pretty far. If you take 100% of your energy and 20% goes to fitness, 20% goes to your business, 20% goes to your relationships, you're only gonna get 20% in each direction. And so you have to decide, what do you want to achieve over the next 90 days and fully prioritize that one thing. I remember I paid a guy to mentor me a lot of money and I got on a coaching call with him. And in my business, I was stuck. I felt extremely stuck. I felt like I couldn't get to the next level in my business. And so I get on this coaching call and I'm asking him, dude, what is the next thing? What is the next tactic? What's the next strategy that you can tell me to finally unlock the next level in my business? And I remember so vividly, he looked at me on the call through Zoom and he said, dude, I've given you all the tactics and strategies that I possibly can, but how's your relationship with Jesus right now? And I remember being so offended, so awed that he would just look me in the eyes, and instead of giving me business advice, and again, this is my business coach, he asked me how my faith was. I was genuinely deeply offended at the time. My ego took a massive hit. So I got off that coaching call and I just sat in the room and I thought to myself, man, maybe my priorities are all wrong. Maybe the next 90 days doesn't mean I need to grow my business and make more money. Maybe in this season of my life, I needed to prioritize my faith and my relationships before just making more money and set myself up so that my revenue, my business doesn't outpace who I am as a person. And so maybe for you in this season right now, you need to prioritize your finances. Maybe you're working at McDonald's, you need to figure out how am I gonna freaking make ends meet and pay my bills next month. And so obviously you probably can't prioritize feeling good and spending time meditating and thinking about what you wanna do. Or maybe you know you're not in the shape that you need to be. You know you're not in the best shape that you possibly could be. In the next 90 days for you could be prioritizing your fitness and getting in the shape that you know you need to be to perform the way you want to perform. Whatever it is you want to prioritize, it's hard to put your energy, it's impossible to put your energy 20% or 10% in 10 directions. You need to focus on one thing and prioritize, which brings me to step number 3. You need to decide. And oftentimes this means choosing risk. Our primal brains are literally designed to keep us to avoid risk. We want to stay as far away from risk as we possibly can. But if you want to change your life in the next 90 days, there's going to be some level of risk that you have to take. When I was 19 years old, I was working 40 hours a week for somebody else as the marketing director at this fancy real estate firm. And I remember I was about to go back home for the summer to Washington, but they made me a 6-figure job offer to stay in Arizona where I was living at the time and to work for them full time. But at the time, I really wanted to go all in on starting my own online business. And so I had to choose and decide, I'm gonna take the $8,333 per month that I could make right now, I'm gonna set that aside and choose to make $0 per month for the next who knows how long, because nothing's guaranteed in business. And I had to actually choose risk and decide that this is the defining moment where I'm choosing to do what I want to do and no longer staying on the path that everybody else tells me to. And so I decided not to pursue the opportunity. I didn't take the job. I ended up starting my own online business. And guess what? As soon as I decided, 16 days later, I made my first ever $10,000 a month on the internet. It sounds insane, but it's true. Once I prioritized what's important right now, and then I decided to take action and do it, and I decided that this is the moment where I'm taking control of my life, it actually ended up working out. Most people dip their toe in the water. They don't go all in. They just, let me just try this out while I keep this other thing here, while I keep this plan B so that I can be safe. Instead of choosing, you know what? I'm gonna decide that this is what I'm going to do. I have a client that I gave out what I call the Mindset Award to. And the reason I gave him the Mindset Award at our last in-person event that I hosted was because when he started his fitness coaching business, he quit a $200,000 per year investment banking job to go all in on fitness coaching. Now, if you're 22 years old, you went to college for 4 years to become an investment banker, and then you decide that you want to quit that $200,000 per year job with the opportunity within 10 years to be making $1 million per year to go all in on fitness coaching, everybody's going to call you insane, and they did. A lot of people were like, Tyler, what are you doing? But he decided to go all in, and when he signed up to work with me, I remember him specifically telling me, Grayson, I don't care how long it takes or what it takes, I'm going to make this work. It's not a matter of is this going to work or is it not going to work. I'm deciding I'm gonna make it work and I don't care what it takes. And that is the mindset that you have to have no matter what you decide to pursue over the next 90 days to completely change the path of your life. Now that you've decided what's important, it's time to spend the next 90 days getting there. So how do you do what I call a 90-day sprint to achieve the goals that you've now prioritized for yourself? Well, here's how I like to set goals. A lot of people say, I want to make this much money in this amount of time, or I want to get in this shape by this date. And what I found is that that is an extremely useless way to set goals because you almost never accomplish them. And even if you decided, I want to make 10 grand a month in the next 90 days, if you got to 9 grand a month, you technically would be upset because you didn't achieve your goal, but you made huge progress. Or if you blew it out of the water, now what, right? Or what if you set your goals too small? Right, what if you decided 10 grand a month was the goal, but the reality is you could achieve 100 and now you're only shooting for 10. So what I like to do is I like to decide what's the outcome ultimately that I want. Not just the money, not just how I look or how I feel or how shredded I am or how much muscle I have or what relationship I have, but by achieving that outcome, what does that provide for me? So for example, a lot of people say, I want to make $10,000 a month. That's awesome, but ultimately, what does that even do for you? It probably provides you with freedom, or when you go to the grocery store, you don't have to look at the price tag. Ultimately, that's the actual goal. 10 grand a month does what for you? I want you to figure out what is the thing that it actually provides? What's the end ultimate outcome that you want? Then work backwards to figure out, what do I actually need to achieve outcome-wise, money-wise, body fat-wise to achieve that outcome? Let's say you wanted to get shredded and cut off body fat. The outcome that you want is to look aesthetic and feel probably really good and confident. So work backwards from that to figure out, well, if that's how I want to feel and that's what I want my higher level frequency to operate at, then what's required to get there? Is it 6% body fat? I hope not. Is it 12% body fat? Or is it simply just going from the 30% you're at now to down to 20% where you'll literally look and feel way better? Then I set input goals only. So I decide, okay, what's required to achieve that ultimate outcome? And then I'm only gonna set my goals based on inputs that I can actually control, not outcomes that I can't control. For example, I can't necessarily control that I'll make exactly $10,000 a month, but I can control the actions I do every day to get there. So figure out what would make it absolutely unreasonable that you don't achieve the outcome you're looking for. What actions and inputs would be required from you to make it so unreasonable you don't achieve the goal that you're looking to do, and then only reward yourself when you do the inputs necessary to achieve the outcome. For example, if I have to be in a 500 calorie deficit per day for the next 90 days to get to the body fat percentage goal that I have, I want to make it so freaking unreasonable that I won't get there, that I'm going to cut that down to 750 calories every single day. That way I make it so unreasonable that I don't achieve the outcome, and the outcome becomes inevitable based on the inputs that I can actually control, which is how much food I'm putting in my mouth, rather than the outcome of, oh, well, I want to be in a deficit or I want to achieve, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Like, that is an awesome outcome, but like, how are you actually getting there? What are the inputs that you're actually doing and can control to achieve that outcome? I used to set revenue goals in my business. I used to be like, I want to make 100 grand a month or 200 grand a month. I actually have zero revenue, cash per month goals in my business anymore. My goal is simply just based on inputs. I know the next step for me is to build a really solid team in my business. That's my next step. It might not be your next step, but that is my next step. And so all I'm focused on is what inputs are necessary for me to learn to become the leader, to be able to lead the team. And so for me right now, in my 90-day sprint of me getting from where I'm at right now to 90 days, I'm hopefully gonna look back and be like, wow, I can't believe that I thought that way or looked that way or acted that way, because I've changed the entire path of my life, like you're going to after watching this video. So many times I've set fitness goals. I'm gonna gain this much muscle, I'm gonna lose this many pounds. And every single time that I set my goals based on the outcome that I want, I never actually get there. It was only once I decided, you know what? I'm gonna pay a trainer to work out 3 times a week. I'm gonna play basketball twice a week, and I'm gonna eat 2 meals a day that are meal prepped. It was only once I decided to do those things that I actually started losing body fat. When I decided, you know what? I just wanna get on the scale every day and I want the number to go down. Or I want to lose body fat. Those goals were so fluffy, there was nothing specific I could actually, tangibly do every single day. Once I decided to work out more and eat healthy food, all of a sudden, the fat starts to come off. It's pretty crazy. Do the inputs that will make it absolutely unreasonable you don't achieve your goal. Hope you enjoyed the video. Watch this video right here on what a weekend in my life looks like after this 90-day transformation. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.